Go.
Streaming from South Africa to the world. This is the Stonks Go Moon podcast. What just happened? We break it down so you don't have to.
Welcome everyone to the Stonks Go Moon podcast. My guest today, Dillon Smith, is the founder of Team Checked. Hey man, what's up?
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Likewise. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. What's up?
It's the holidays, man. A couple more days. You ready for 23?
Yeah. Are you taking it easy, or is it business as usual?
I wish. No, it's always steady in this world. Taking it a little easier than normal for the holidays this round, but never a dull moment. That's for sure. How about you?
No, same. The news never stops, man. It's just the grind never stops. You can't stop.
Indeed.
Tell me, when did you get into this game?
Web3 kind of migrated into around 2015, 2016. Got real deep into crypto as early as 2014, and then migrated heavily into the Web3 bridge, as everyone says, and being part of that education. 2018, 2019, we really dove deep as an agency with all of our clients and roster, because I got quite a few who are in Web3. Just decided.
But the agency came first, right? It's not.
Yes,
correct. So I'm trying to figure out sort of the pivot, because you built something before this, and it's not like Web3 and I'm going to build something for Web3. You built something before it, and you repurposed it. Okay, cool.
So we built the agency. We brought on the biggest roster of influencers, both in Web2 and Web3, and then as that roster of Web3 focused influencers grew, we started developing a lot of internal tools to support both our clients and then other projects in the market who are breaking. We've got over 1 billion followers, obviously, under our roster. So we've been a huge part of helping a lot of these projects educate new potential communities.
How? So my question would be how 2015, 16, influencers weren't that hot, right? It's not like it's like from the, let's say, 2019, 2020, kind of with the I don't really want to call her or like mention her, but like for the Paris Hiltons and those like became the breakout influencers and into the Mr. Beast and those type of guys that we're seeing now. So what was it for you in 15, 16 that said, hey, this is maybe going to be a thing?
Well, I'm always interested in monetary systems, and for me, being in security and intellectual property, because we do so much intellectual property in this world: data, music rights, film rights, repurposed ad use. So there's a lot of protection that we're already focused on as a group and maintaining those rights. So it was a normal transition to adopt this blockchain technology that was so focused on transparency and also ownership authenticity. And this is a way to validate that, especially in the fan club world, community world, and give people part of the project as more than just a fan who's observing from the bleachers. For me, it was a great integration.
So how did you go about building that influencer base and like convincing those people that, hey, this is the future?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. Some of them just had the hunch internally, right? So we kind of nurtured that. Others understood that this was where it was headed, had no clue how it worked, but wanted to be part of it. So they would come to us and say, okay, I've got a large music following, or I've got a large, teenage following. What can I do to develop a fan club environment that works with Web3? So that was a natural transition for us, because we do a lot of membership sites and community focused sites. As is, we manage large text databases, large email databases, large live stream databases, metaverse databases. So a lot of these events that are now intertwined in both Web2, Web3.
Wow. Okay. What are some of the biggest influencers that you guys have on the platform? Because I checked the big. I checked out a couple of them, but just sort of want to hear it from you.
Yeah, of course. Well, we got Cabby to start, so he's the largest influencer on the platform. He surpassed Charlie like last year or earlier this year, and it was a big celebration.
How did that happen?
You know,
Sorry, how did that happen? How did you hook up?
so Cabby's team in Europe works with one of our agency partners in LA, and they're very close. And we have been handling his domestic brand deals. So he's got a great team over in Europe. They partnered with us last year to handle domestic partnerships, and we've been working on some of the larger, more lucrative deals that he's seen.
Okay, how did the domestic part start? Because I'm always interested in like not necessarily what's happening now, but also like where did it come from? Because if you know where it came from, it's sort of easy to tell the story going forward.
Yeah, no, of course. And in each influencer is different. Some of them you start in the mud with them 4 years ago and work your way up and build a relationship that lasts to the day. I think we're one of the few agencies out there that hasn't had talent walk away or say, screw you, we're not working together anymore. The majority of them, I or my team have had a long-standing relationship with. So there's that trust factor. The big influencers have come via word of mouth from those who've worked from us over the years.
That's cool.
Especially when you get into Web3, we've got Michael Lee, Alex Stempluski, Cody Orlove, these big players who are traditional mega influencers, but also have large Web3 communities and projects that have already sold out or working on their second or tertiary. So, Cody, for example, we started just in the influencer phase, and he was very successful early on, one of the highest earning influencers. And I think you're going to chat with him at some point. Once he gets scheduled. But he's a perfect example of someone who was extremely successful at 14, 15, 16 years old on social media, and then evolved that into Web3. So, it was a cool transition for him, but that was from a 4-year relationship, and his interest in, migrating into Web3 and us saying, okay, we'll do it with you. So that's one situation.
It's interesting. Sorry, so before you go, it's interesting these young guys coming up and being able to build these massive followings, right? Because Buster Scher is a friend of mine. I had him on the pod a couple of weeks ago. He's done amazing things in NBA and building communities and audiences. And it's like I was actually shocked when I first got to meet him how young he was and how young he started. It's mind-blowing if I think what I was doing at that age and the opportunities, right? But then I'm like, cool, but we didn't have these opportunities, right? These kids have the world at their feet. And if you give us what they have now, I think we'd be in a different league. Yeah, no,
I agree wholeheartedly. The tools they have are pretty exciting these days.
But what traits do you see in them that you think make them successful? Because everyone's trying to do it, but I mean, it's not everyone that gets to that upper echelon.
No, 100%. Short of using the generic answer, the people who are focused on community building are the biggest players in Web3 thus far. For me, that's why there's a lot of success with these influencers when done correctly. And by that, I mean not just jumping on a project without vetting it and promoting it, which we've seen happen with some repercussions.
Yes.
But those who really are successful at community building and have been able to do so on traditional socials, there is a difference between followers and fans.
Yeah.
Right. And the majority of our creatives have fans as followers, so their engagement is tremendously high. We know that and look for that when we sign them.
Okay.
Cody is a great example of someone who's been able to build substantial communities across multiple platforms over the last 6 years. 2 years of Snapchat, then he migrates over to TikTok. Now he's back doing partnerships with Facebook and back in Snapchat. So there's these constant rotations. And what he understood was that I can do the same thing in Web3, but give my community perks and access to me and incentives to stick around that just aren't built in the traditional Web2 model. So it was a very natural transition for him. Alex is the same way. Michael's the same way. They think communities. So that was
I see. That's
natural.
The thread going through. Talking about projects, right, and endorsements. Big news now, FTX, and especially in the finance world, endorsements. at Brady,
Yep.
Kevin O'Leary saying he took 15 million to endorse FTX. The thing is, he acted in good faith. Well, he still maintains that he acted, and Brady will say as well, like, listen, I acted in good faith. And intent is very hard to prove, right? Because how do I know what your intention is? You might wholeheartedly believe this is the next great thing. If Sequoia and BlackRock and all these guys believed it, then who's going to tell me that I had ill intent? So my question would be that, let's say there are endorsements, and they are maybe not what they seemed to be, but your guys have like no ill intent, obviously, because at that level, you're not going to, if you're like a micro influencer, maybe you'll pull that sort of stuff, but not at that level. But how do you you spoke about something about vetting and like checking it out. What is that process that you go through?
Sure. Yeah. We had to be very particular about that because our clients are substantial, in terms of social footprint and recognition and fame. And the last thing we ever want is for them to be liable, in the marketing sense and promotion sense, for a security or asset like this. So we have not had that happen. In terms of vetting, we've got great people in-house who go the extra mile to vet codes, projects, any type of blockchain weaknesses they will identify. Right. One of the first things they did was send us over an audit of FTX and said, well, there's the hole that was intentionally left in where all the money funneled. Right. So these kind of guys understand how these things are built. And for us, it's a requisite that they audit and check off any project before we go to market with it. Right. That's one of the standards. And then the second thing is, making sure that you're not promising people anything, right? It's keywords, and you have to be very careful with this. And it's not being esoteric intentionally or being vague intentionally. It's just not promising something people you can't deliver on. So what we try to do is partner these guys for awareness, but not necessarily to deliver the sales message or discuss the financial aspect, right? So there are quite a few things that we do to be careful in that sense and have to be. I think a lot of projects don't audit themselves. I think that there is a stamp of security that comes with auditing, both for the investors, the owners, and just the entity itself. I think that's crucial. But beyond that, we do a lot of due diligence on the project before we take it to market. And that's who's the team behind it. What type of budget do they have for 6 months to 12 months, so that we know if we're putting our whole name behind it and people jump in on the hype bands for 6 months, that it's not just gonna go to shit. It's never much from that point.
I was about to say, because people kind of woke up to the amount of fuckery that's going on in crypto, and obviously they're going to be skeptical now of any celebrity endorsing anything. And influencers are de facto the new celebrities. If you look at how they're driving TikTok, e-commerce, with like what is the show, Wednesday on Netflix, and like just driving fashion and everything. So I guess it's grooming them sort of to be able to know how to handle that celebrity status. Is that fair? Is that a fair?
No, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that crosses a few bridges.
Yes,
because these are the new celebrities.
Yes,
because I can take these. Yeah,
PR.
I can,
all those things. No.
Yeah, no. I can take them anywhere. And their fan bases are very much a Beatlemania similarity. Where they will scream and fight and yell and sell their left leg to get front in line to just lay eyes on these people, let alone touch them. Yes. And that's common. And not even the biggest influencers. I'm talking influencers with 10 million followers. Like, where the hell did all these people come from, and why are they following? So it's deeply powerful in terms of the community connection. I think influencers are the celebrities that are accessible, right? Which is why there's that extra layer of excitement and passion for them.
And it's funny you say the accessible, because I look at someone like The Rock, right? And people say, "Oh, he's a great actor," and I'm like, "No, he's a great influencer."
I tend to agree. Yeah,
he's not the best actor. He just knows how to influence people. His social content is amazing. He'll go and he'll take his team. You saw the clip where he went to the where he grew up, and they bought all the Snicker bars that he supposedly stole and whatever. I'm like, dude, that is PR just done spectacularly well. So it's not an actor. He is a de facto influencer, and that is what is making him so successful, and that's why he has the pull as opposed to other actors that don't know what the hell is going on.
Yeah, not many actors have 100 million followers or plus.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So these influencers that you are managing, if it might not be the right word, but anyway, that are in your stable, they have the power to pull where traditionally actors and sports celebrities and whatever didn't have any power. Not really.
Yeah. I think they all, the actors and celebrities always, athletes always had power. I think there is a different mentality with followers now to constantly be in the know of what's happening, right? With your old celebrities, you'd wake up in the morning, read the newspaper. Okay, that's what this person did today. You maybe hear about them next week in a magazine. Today it's unlimited access, and as ADD as our brains are and as distracted as we are, we're checking these people we love every 10 seconds to minute just to see if we missed anything. So it's almost like their lifestyle is a playbook that is visible to the world, whereby traditional celebrities you only got a little glimpse of, right? So it's a very different world.
It's almost like did you ever watch the Truman Show with Jim
Carrey?
Oh yeah,
of course.
It's almost like that. It's like we're watching 24/7. Some of these guys are streaming on Twitch like 24/7. It's are part of their lives. All right, so let's start to wrap it up. How do you? Okay, so you have the fan base, and they have all this following. How do you then go about pulling them into Web3, and how sort of do you decide what the best fit is for them? I know it's case by case, but just like general.
No, it's a great question. It obviously depends on who the client is. So I'll use Cody as an example, and I'll use
sure.
And I'll use one of our others as an example. And so Cody is the more traditional influencer, right? So he had his communities built and wanted to transition into Web3 to maintain ownership of the communities, was excited about the NFT aspect. So that was a natural transition. For us, we didn't have to endorse anybody else. We didn't have to partner with anybody else. We didn't have to give away any IP. This was solely Cody's in-house, owned it all, going directly to his fan base, right? So he screws up, he's on the chopping block with them directly. There's no one else that can pull one out from under him, right? So I think that's very important, is that if these creators at this level are doing these projects, start internally and do your own and build your own community and prove that you can do it before you go jump on, and promote FTX for a $15 million deal. So there's some limits there. But Cody's a great model of influencers who just out of the blue are like, listen, I want to get into Web3 and I want an NFT project and I want community. What do I do? So then we can help execute that very quick, because we just got great people in house who are doing that.
But also he might say, I want this, but you could be like, no. You think you want this, but this is what you actually want.
100%.
Because you're in the space. You are the sort of expert there.
Yes. Cool. Yeah. So Cody's a prime example of that. And then we look at like Sammy Arriego, for example, who's in Nashville with us. My wife was on his song Meta Girl, that became the number one Web3 seller. So we work with him religiously in and out. And I've got a label out of Nashville, Checked Records, under our company with 5 artists and influencers on it that are all doing incredibly well with music. Wow. And for me, that was a key focus, intellectual property rights, ownership, fan club. That's starting to sound like music fans.
Yeah.
So Sammy was a great example of someone who came at it from a music side, who had a decent following as he never considered himself an influencer, but he had a great foundation. Yes. And so him being music and music focused, okay, there's a lane. Cody being community focused and entertainment and comedy type content. Okay, here's a lane, right? Yeah. And then for those influencers who may not have a keen direction yet. We're like, okay, well, let's throw you in the metaverse and do an event. Let your fans come meet you as lookalike avatars. All you need is a URL. You don't need a headset. You just have a decent computer, and you can have an experience in the metaverse. So we do that, and they're like, holy shit, this is so cool. We're like, excellent, great, we agree. Now let's talk about what this looks like as we do it more regularly and build a community around it. So that's how we introduce some of the new people, and then it kind of rings a bell, and they're like, well, this is cool. Yeah, so there's kind of three different angles.
Yeah, it's interesting. You sort of give them something familiar to start with, not like a way out thing. It's sort of,
exactly.
All right, my last question would be more on a personal level, I guess. How does it feel? Because we all use social media, but you don't really use social media that much in your personal capacity.
I post maybe once every couple of weeks or month on
IG. So this was my sort of my take was, interesting. You've got this guy managing hyper. Is it sort of a cognitive decision to be like, okay, I want to be completely opposite of that world? Or is it just the way you've always been? It's a great question. Has there ever felt a pressure on you to sort of grow your own following base and content and become Gary V, and you know what I mean? It's
it's a fantastic question. To answer it bluntly, no, I have never felt the need myself to have a large social following to get shit done. I've got a great network of great, powerful people who just execute, and I don't need the following for that. Now, in terms of when I rep some of these, the largest influencers and talent out there, and we work with, mega A-list celebrities too are on our roster. And for them, if they're looking at my account and they see 4,600 followers, they're not going to think I'm some nobody. But at the same time, they're not going to look at me and go, okay, well, he doesn't have 400,000 followers, so he can't be a legit manager. So, that's gone through my head quite a few times. But my wife's an influencer. She's got, 2.5 million followers across platforms, was on the X Factor, very successful musician. And she's, constantly shooting content. She's like paparazzi around here. I can't get away from the camera. So there's always content going around me, and my focus is just always on getting it back out to the major platforms. And it's midnight before I'm like, well, shit, I didn't post on my account today. So
I think that's a very extremely important sort of thing to highlight, is because I spoke to a couple of people this month, and they were like, I can't do this, or I have to wait a couple of months to launch or whatever. And it's like, and I'm like, why? It's like, no, I don't have enough followers. I don't have enough social proof. And I'm like, but you don't need you don't need it. And it's like, we've been bullshit that to a point where we think that in order for me to be as successful as like yourself as a businessman, you need that amount of following, you need that whatever. And that's just to sort of separate. It's a completely different ball game, guys. It's a completely different ball game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think it's very much a followers world and a status world. In terms of that. But in my mind, when people ask, why don't you post more? I was like, I got 1 billion followers I'm dealing with daily, with all of our creatives.
That's my point is, my sort of the point of emphasis is Dillon gets shit done because of the network he has. And there's a real world outside of social media. And sometimes stuff happens in the real world.
Oh yeah, and you won't see that on social media.
No,
I guess it's when I'm like, listen, because I've just got so many people that follow me, and internally who aren't front based. They're like, what's happening? What's going on this week? Catch me up. And I'm like, well, I'll post the big thing I'm doing this week, and you can ask me questions later. So I'll do that. Here's I'm with Gary. I'll post that because everyone likes to see Gary. So I'll do that. And listen, my wife is on my ass about it. It's hilarious. My talent's like, you should post more. You're so good at it. I know once you get started what it takes to maintain, and unless my goal is to achieve 150K followers, I'm just going to work myself, exhaust myself for no reason.
Absolutely, dude. Love it.
That's how I look at it.
Dude, thank you so much for your time. If there's anything else that I need, I'm going to reach out. But your intake form, I can see you're a consummate professional. I mean, obviously, but just like everything about you, punctuation. I'm keen to follow you on social media, even though you don't post a lot, but just to sort of stay in touch and see what you're up to and whatever. And when obviously when the article comes out, we'll tag you.
Fantastic. And I got your email this morning. I'll send you over those images. I couldn't tell if they had dropped yet.
Sorry. No, it didn't. But yeah, that's
no problem. Sorry about that.
Dude, have an excellent day. It was so great to meet you.
It was a pleasure. I look forward to working in. Let me know if we can do anything to support you guys as well.
Definitely. We'll definitely do that. I think Jacob, who's your contact point?
Jacob initial. Well, and I know Brian. Brian and
Brian is sort of the silent partner in this.
It's Brian.
Brian is always he's also everywhere. It's like Brian is Web3. I joke with him and I say, Brian, why do I see you pop up everywhere? It's like but anyway,
that's Brian.
Cool.
Gotta love
it. Gotta love it. Cool, dude. Nice meeting you.
Man. It's a pleasure. We'll be in touch. Let me know if you need anything.
I will. Cheers, dude.
All right. Talk soon.
Thank you so much for joining me today. And to our listeners, peace, love, and prosperity. Catch you in the next one. Cheers. We're standing at the peak. So here's to the team and the work we put in. Checked and balanced. We're here to win. In the world of influencers, we're setting the scene. Riding the wave, we're living the dream. So here's to the team and the work we put in. Checked and balanced, we're here to win. In the world of influencers, we're setting the scene. Riding the wave, we're living the dream.